Hi, my name is Muhammad Akmal Hakim bin Zulkafli, and now I will present the introduction of our portfolio trading. A client asked us to help them allocate 100,000 ringgit among 5 Bursa Malaysia listed actively traded companies. KPJ Healthcare, Padinya Holdings, CIMB Group, Hapseng Industries, and Kemudah Berhad were chosen. We divided the original investment amount of 100,000 ringgit by the least active stock. Padini and CIMB own 30,000 ringgit each. Kemudah and KPJ Healthcare hold 15,000 ringgit each, and Hapseng holds 10,000 ringgit from total capital. Thus, we create a client-specific portfolio. Portfolios disperse financial risk to reduce losses. Moving on to economic analysis. The first one is monetary and fiscal policy. Malaysia manages and stabilizes the economy using monetary and fiscal policy. Malaysia Central Bank, Bank Negara Malaysia, controls monetary policy. Monetary policy seeks price stability and long-term economic prosperity. Bank Negara Malaysia does this by establishing the overnight policy rate, OPR, bank's lending rate. The OPR affects borrowing costs, consumption, investment, and inflation. The central bank also oversees the banking sector, foreign reserves, and financial system stability. Malaysia's finance ministry handles fiscal policy. Government spending and taxation influence aggregate demand, economic growth, and socio-economic goals. Malaysian budgets include revenue and expenditure plans. Taxes, infrastructure, social welfare, and subsidies are fiscal policy measures. These initiatives aim to boost economic activity, support vital industries, minimize income inequality, and increase population well-being. Next, inflation. Economics defines inflation as a sustained rise in prices for most goods and services. Consumer price indexes, CPI, measure the average price changes of a basket of household goods and services. Inflation affects consumers, corporations, and governments, making macroeconomics vital. The Department of Statistics Malaysia in 2020 reported that Malaysian inflation fell to 2.8% yearly in May 2023 from 3.3% the month before, below the market's 3% prediction. The lowest reading since May 2022 was due to lower travel, 1% compared to 2.3% in April, and food and non-alcoholic beverage prices, 5.9% versus 6.1%. Clothing and footwear inflation decreased to 0.4% from 0.5%, healthcare to 1.9% from 3%, furniture, domestic equipment, and maintenance to 2.7% from 3%, and communication expenses to negative 3.7% from negative 1.4%. The 10-month low in core consumer price inflation was 3.5%. Besides, we have gross domestic product GDP. GDP measures a nation's economic output. GDP equals spending on all final items and services generated in a country over a given time period. It measures an economy's overall health. The expenditure, income, or production methodologies can calculate GDP. GDP represents the value of final products and services bought by consumers and generated in a country through time. T. Callan, 2008. RAM Rating Services Berhad predicts 4% to 5% GDP growth for Malaysia in 2023. Inflationary pressures and the Russia-Ukraine crisis could slow the country's export rebound, according to this estimate. Malaysia's 2022 GDP rose 8.7%. Private spending and investment, lower unemployment, and a strong ringgit drove this increase.
Good day, everyone. I'm Sasha and I'm metric number is 28980. So today I'll be explaining the industry analysis that we did in our portfolio. So first analysis we did is growth cycle of an industry, and then we evaluated the competitive position of the industry. We use SWOT analysis for that. Okay, first company, Padini Holding Berhad. It is a reliable business with a history of success as seen by its longevity and consistent expansion. It is fully matured. As for the strength, Padini is well known in Malaysia as one of the leading players and has good marketing strategy. And the weakness is currently it's concentrated on Asian market and its longer lead time when compared to the fast fusion rivals. As for the opportunity, can expand business in the East Malaysia, and the threat is high turnover rates for employee and competing products. KPJ has recognized as Malaysia's leading sustainable healthcare provider in the Asia Pacific. It's fully mature, and its strength is quality and asset it has is disposable, and they may put it in the competitive advantage. As for the human resource team, it is exceptionally skilled in healthcare management and staff training, and the organization are able to generate income from other sources. Not only that, they have larger dealer network and larger network associates. As for the weakness, declining market share, which is associated with the rising revenue, and market need and the regional monopolies that KPJ could formerly profit are rapidly disappearing, and their dealer networks are becoming less important. As for the external opportunity, they may enhance cyberspace, and external threat is IP infringement, and then volatility to an unpredictable politic. Third is Kamuda, which represents engineering sector. The company has been recognized as top performer in the construction industry and well-positioned and widespread presence in the market serves to insulate its from ups and downs of Malaysian construction industry. It is full matured, and as for the strength, the training development program is highly regarded in the capital goods sector, and it is specific of digital training in the construction service sector. And lastly, they benefit from multiple revenue streams. As for the weakness, the high reliance on current supply chain, and in comparison to its rival to the construction service sector, has lengthy cash conversion cycle. As for the opportunity, rapid technology can increase industrial productivity and providing high quality service at affordable price and may increase in government expenditure. As for the external strength, youth more open to trying new brands and Kamuda competitors catching up in innovation and enforcing WTO rules and law across market versus challenges. Next is CIMB. CIMB is the leading financial institution and corporate consultant in Asia with a strong presence in Islamic finance, and they are fully matured. As for their strength, they are the fifth largest banking group in Asia, and they have diversified product and services they provide to consumers throughout the Asian. And as for their weakness, is they concentrate in the Asian nations more, and when CIMB merged with other company, they required to adjust. As for the opportunity, new markets for brands to enter, like widespread adoption of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and they may form a strategic alliance or collaborating with another organization. And the threat for the CIMB is more and more financial institutions enter the market and the exchange rate fluctuation. Last industry is housing. Housing is undergoing revitalization due to the rising input costs and competition driven by external factors like pandemic, inflation. Actually, they are in declining stage now. Housing strength is serve a variety of clients, dominates food processing sector, and they have solid reputation. And their weakness is challenging company outlook, supply chain disruption, and insufficient investment in customer-centric services. And the external opportunity, customers transitioning to licensed operators. Housing have opportunity for them, and regional business partnering for local expansion. As for the threat is increasing product commoditization and intellectual property infringement risk.
Hello, my name is Nurzwan bin Misman. My metric number is 288051. So now I will present about fundamental analysis that comprise of liquidity ratio, activity ratio, leverage ratio, profitability ratio, and common stock ratio. Now let's talk about liquidity ratio. A liquidity ratio is a measurement which is used to indicate whether the debtor will be able to pay their short-term debt off with the cash they have readily available, or whether they'll need to raise additional capital to cover the amount. Liquidity ratio comprises two categories, which is current ratio and quick ratio. For current ratio, Parini Holdings recorded the highest ratio among all companies at value 5.40 for year 2021. For quick ratio, on the other hand, it is still Parini Holdings that recorded the highest ratio value at 3.92 for year 2021. Next is activity ratio. An activity ratio broadly describes any type of financial metric that helps investors and research analysts gauge how efficiently a company uses its assets to generate revenues and cash. It comprises of two categories, which is asset turnover ratio and account receivable turnover ratio. As you can see from the slide, for asset turnover ratio, Hub Seng recorded the highest ratio at 1.52 in year 2020. Meanwhile, for account receivable turnover ratio, Hub Seng again recorded the highest ratio at 9.51 in year 2020. Next is leverage ratio. A leverage ratio is any one of several financial measurements that assesses the ability of a company to meet its financial obligations. A leverage ratio may also be used to measure a company's mix of operating expenses to get an idea of how changes in output will affect operating income. It consists of three parts, which is debt to equity ratio, equity multiplier, and debt to asset ratio. For debt to equity, CIMB Group recorded the highest at 9.57 in 2020. For equity multiplier, CIMB Group shows the highest ratio at 10.67 in year 2021, while debt to asset ratio, still CIMB Group recorded the highest among all at 0.91 in 2020. It is unfavorable to investors as it shows that the company are burdened by debt in its operation. Let's move to profitability ratio. The profitability ratio shows how successful a business is in earning profits over a period of time in relation to its operation costs, revenue, and shareholders' equity. The higher the ratio, the better it is for the company because it shows that the business is highly capable of generating profits regularly. It consists of three items, which is net profit margin, return on equity, and return on asset. For net profit margin, Gamuda Berhad recorded the highest at 35.06% in 2021. Meanwhile, for the return on equity, Hub Seng recorded the highest at 29% in 2020, while for return on assets, still Hub Seng the highest at 18% in year 2020. It will attract investors as the company knows really well how to make a profit. Last part is common stock ratio. The common stock ratio measures the proportion of a company's total capitalization that is comprised of common stock. A high percentage indicates that company management is conservative, obtaining the bulk of the company's financing through the sale of common stock. It consists of two items, which is earning per share (EPS) and price to earning ratio (PE ratio). For EPS, Hub Seng is the highest at 5.05 in 2020, while for PE ratio is Gamuda Berhad, which recorded the highest at 36 in 2020. For Padini Holdings, the share price currently at RM3.20 for year 2022, while the forecast price in 2023 is RM3.93. It is considered undervalued. While for KPJ Healthcare, the share price currently at RM1.01 for in year 2022, while for the forecast price in 2023 is RM1.12. It is considered also undervalued. For Gamuda Berhad, the share price currently at RM2.53 in year 2022, while for the forecast price in 2023 at RM3.90. It is considered undervalued. CIMB Group share price currently at RM5.80 in year 2022, and the forecast price for year 2023 is RM5.22. It is considered overvalued. While for Hub Seng, the share price in year 2022 is RM0.72, while for the forecast is 0.67 in year 2023. It is also considered overvalued.
Greetings everyone, my name is Aina Maisara binti Azmi with metric number 288466. And now I will continue the presentation about technical analysis, the MACD, RSI, MA, support and resistance for the company, Padini, KPJ Healthcare Berhad, Gamuda Berhad, CIMB Group, and Hub Seng Industry Berhad.
The first company is Padini. The MACD line, which is the blue line, falls below the signal line, which is the orange line, from 3rd March until 27 March 2023. It indicating bearish indication and time to sell. On 28 March to 11 April, the MACD line rose and traded upward. It is bullish signal and indicating that the stock price is likely to raise, purchasing the stock. The RSI range from 30 to 70. The company RSI was above 70 from the 27th to the 28th of February. It is overbought and gives sell signals. The RSI began to decline below 70 until 30 May when it reached the oversold level at a value of 29.8683. The short-term MA, which is the blue line, and the long-term MA, which is the orange line. Both short-term and long-term shows a rising trend from the beginning of the Feb through the June 10, 2023, and the stock is an uptrend. Both MA lines declined from June 10 to July 12, 2023. It is decrease in the stock's price momentum.
Next is the support and resistance for Padini. The support line, which is the red line, while the resistance line, which is the blue line. The company reached its highest resistance on April 20 with a value of RM4.18. Then indicates a price drop until May 30. The price has dropped from RM4.18 to RM3.60. When the price goes to the support level, it shows the demand outweighs supply and the price is unable to fall further. Next, for the KPJ Healthcare Berhad, on 10 March to 4 April, the MACD line started to fall below the signal line. It is bearish indication and it's time to sell. On the 4 April until 11 April, the MACD line showed a raise and went upward trend. It is bullish signal. Stock price is likely to experience upward momentum. The RSI reached its highest range was on 20 February at a value of 76.6189. It is overbought and overpriced stock and gives sell signals. The RSI began to decline, almost reaching 40 until July 10, when it reached the oversold level. It is bullish signal. The MA10 is crossing the MA20 from bottom to top from early February 2023 to March 2023. It is bullish and it's buy the shell as there is a good chance the price will go up. The short-term line started to decline below the long-term line on 27 April. For the support and resistance for KPJ Healthcare, the support line, which is the red line, and the resistance line, which is the blue line. The company reached its highest resistance on 7 April with a value of RM1.19. The stock price will continue to rise until it reaches a new resistance level. We should buy the shares. The company has reached its lowest support from 24 January to 22nd February with a value of 0.975. It shows that the stock price was falling and investors should consider selling the shares.
Next, for the Gamuda Berhad, the MACD line falls below the signal line from 8 March to 11 April. It is bearish indication and sell the share because there is a chance that the share price will decrease. On 29 May, the MACD line crossed from the below to above the signal line. It is bullish signal where the price will rise and buy the share. They are freshly overbought during early January 2023, while no trend appears as oversold along 6 months with a level above 30. Not the time to sell the stock. It is a bullish trend may continue and recommended to hold the stock. The short-term MA and long-term MA, the trend shifted upward when the short-term MA crossed above the long-term MA on 22nd November 2022 to 21st March 2023. It is a selling signal. The support, which is the red line, and the resistance, which is the blue line. The share price at the support level and resistance level are RM4.31 and RM4.52 respectively. The closing price on 18 July is RM4.45, which is close to the resistance level. Thus, it is recommended to buy the stock. MACD line falls below the signal line from 22nd November 2022 to 22nd February 2023. It is bearish indication and time to sell the share. The MACD line rose and indicated the upward trend. It is bullish signal and stock price is likely to rise and it is recommended to buy the stock at this time. The company RSI was below 30 from the 8th to the 10th of February 2023 and 30 to the 21st of May 2023. It is oversold stock and gives a buy signal. On 21st June 2023, the RSI began to raise above 70 when it reached the overbought level at the value of 70.8651. The short-term MA, which is the blue line, falls below the long-term MA, which is orange line, from 17 April 2023 to the 15 June 2023. It indicates bearish indication and it's time to sell. The short-term line rose steadily and indicated an upward trend. It showed a bullish signal. The red line in the graph above shows support while the blue line simulates resistance. The company has reached its highest so far in 2023 from the 3rd to the 5th of January with a value of RM5.88. CIMB then indicates that a price drop until July 2023. The price has dropped from RM5.88 to RM4.80. When the price closed the support level, it signifies the demand over supplies and the price is unable to decrease any further. The last company is Hapseng. The MACD was volatile over the past period. The MACD, which is the blue line, crossed above the signal line, which is orange line, on 31st January. Hapseng stock will be above the baseline of MACD. The MACD line started to experience a downward trend and closed below its signal line for a short period on 28 February 2023. Wait for a confirmed cross above the signal line since the MACD of Hapseng is fluctuated. The RSI of Hapseng was placed on an unstable trend. The RSI value of Hapseng dropped below 30 on 31st May until June 2023. It is oversold and share price is undervalued and the investor may buy the stock. On 30 February 2023, the RSI of Hapseng increased above 70. It is overbought and bullish trend may continue and recommended to hold the stock. The trend was going upward when the short-term MA crossed over the long-term MA on 2nd February 2023. It is buying signal. On 9 March 2023, the short-term MA abruptly went below the long-term MA. It indicates selling signal as downward trend and that's growth. The support, which is the red line, and the resistance, which is the blue line. The Hapseng support line was 0.65 cents, indicate a sell signal. The share price broke through the new support line of 0.625 cents and rebounded to a low on 26th of June 2023. The Hapseng's resistance line was 0.665 cents, indicating a buyer opportunity. It broke through the resistance line in June and July, indicating that investors should take advantage of the best moment to buy at the lowest price.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Zairul Faris bin Zulkifli. My metric number is 2846C8. I will explain about the portfolio trading. So our group was assigned by the client to perform an investment portfolio with an initial capital investment of 100,000 to be traded. We need to choose 5 stocks from different industries which were listed in Bursa Malaysia. Our trading portfolio was started on 29 May 2023 to 26 June 2023. It takes approximately 4 weeks, equal to 20 days, to be completed. We have chosen several companies from various industries which are Padini, KPJ, Gamuda, CIMB and Hapseng. These stocks were actively traded in the main market of Bursa Malaysia and come from different industries specialization, which are fashion clothing, textile industry, healthcare, engineering industry, financial and banking institution, and food beverage. Besides, we started our first transaction by buying the stock at a lower price. Each company seems likely to achieve its goals because its close price was set higher before. The KPJ started to buy on 29 May because the price changes were slightly lower than yesterday. The stock was bought in 200 shares at the price of 1.12 ringgit. In the following days, Gamuda and Padini started to buy their respective stock, which was 7,000 shares at the price of 3.66 ringgit and 3,000 shares at the price of 4.2 ringgit. On 31st May, CIMB bought 5,000 shares at the price of 4.80 ringgit, and the last company to buy the first stock was Hapseng, which on 7 June with 2,000 shares at the price of 0.665 ringgit. From the point of view of every company, KPJ and Hapseng have the lowest price than the rest. This is because if the stock has the lowest value to buy, the probability of being sold is lower. They need to wait for days or weeks to sell. As shown in the transaction history, KPJ actively bought the stock within a week compared to Padini and Gamuda. Moving on to the sales section, Padini and Gamuda actively sold the shares because the price was volatile and unpredictable. Padini and Gamuda have made more than 5 sold transactions compared to Hapseng and KPJ. Padini started to sell the first 5,000 shares at the price of 3.72 ringgit and Gamuda sold 1,000 and 2,000 shares at different prices on the following days at the price of 4.44 ringgit and 4.25 ringgit. in contrast, KPJ and CIMB have a lack of sell transactions because the price was getting higher and lower. For CIMB, we take the precautions to buy and sell for 2 days, which are 5,000 shares at a price of 4.89 ringgit. Furthermore, after almost nearly the end of trading days and this year got a lot of holidays, the price keeps decreasing and it takes time to wait for the price to go up, especially for KPJ and Hapsing. KPJ still have not sold the outstanding shares because the price keeps decreasing. Same with Hapsing. There were no sold shares from Hapsing because the price remained lower by days. Differing from the other industries, CIMB stopped selling the shares for the outstanding 2,000 shares at the price of 5.05 ringgit. Gamuda sold 3,000 shares at the price of 4.28 and followed by Padini sold 4,500 shares at the price of 3.85 ringgit. Lastly, we have calculated the sales proceed and purchase price to determine which stock make a profit or loss. As stated, there is only one company that managed to make a profit, which is CIMB Group, with a percentage of 1.42%, while the other stock have made a loss with a percentage of a negative 10.03%, negative 62.54%, negative 11.80% and negative 1.02%. Moving on to the last part, conclusion. To conclude, there were 5 active stocks were bought from the Bursa: Padini Holdings, KPJ Healthcare, Gamuda Berhad, CIMB Group and Hapsing. We have been provided with an initial capital investment amounting to 100,000 to be diversified in several stocks. We have diversified the stock accordingly, followed by the company we have chosen. We are moving on the analysis. So essentially, before we start any investment, the first thing that needs to be analysed are economic, fundamental and technical. Each of these analyses provided much information for the investor to look upon the trading transaction, which means that this will be their indicator of whether to trade with high or low risk. In evaluating the performance of the stocks, fundamental and technical analysis were important things that should be discussed. The indicators in technical analysis are MACD, MA or Moving Average, RSI, Relative Strength Index, and Support and Resistance.